A mindful mama and a hot mess walk into midlife.
One of us meditates.
The other curses under her breath.
Welcome to Namaste and No Way.
Welcome to today's episode, Making Babies and Losing Our Minds in the Process.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about basically having babies later in life and how it affected us.
Yeah, so buckle up because this episode is all about tracking ovulation, like it's your side hustle, to fielding unsolicited advice from strangers who apparently majored in your uterus studies.
And also IVF attempts, hormone highs, and hellish lows, and the emotional toll no one prepares you for.
Whether you've been there or are in it right now, or you're just curious, this episode's for every woman who thought they'd had it all figured out by now and ended up peeing in a stick behind a Starbucks instead. You know that feeling when you walk into a store and instantly feel at peace? The lighting's just right, the clothes are calling your name, and suddenly retail therapy is therapy?
Yes, that's Nordstrom. It's like self-care, but with a shoe department.
Whether you're looking for your next cozy chic moment or that dress that says, I still got it, Nordstrom has curated style, beauty, and luxury without the drama.
And let's be honest, we've earned a little luxury. We've survived carpool, chaos, marriage meltdowns, and midlife madness. Mama needs a new boots.
From timeless pieces to trendsetters, Nordstrom is the place where both mindfulness and messiness can shop in peace.
Namaste in the fitting room, baby. Thanks, Nordstrom.
Though, let's talk about actually peeing on a stick, because, how do you do it? I don't understand.
I didn't do it.
So
there's also an option you can pee in the cup and then dunk it in.
But is there people that can actually pee directly on the stick?
I don't know. And it's weird if you do it like that. And sometimes you pee in your hand.
It's impressive aim all over your hand every time.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So, I did IVF, my wife and I remember we walked into the fertility clinic. We did so many tests beforehand before we could even go. And, we had to buy sperm, which is also a whole nother thing. And insurance covers some of the process, but some of it doesn't. I remember our insurance picked up the tab after 4 or 5 IUI tries. So IUI is basically a turkey baster. But they don't cover sperm, and sperm is freaking expensive. Especially if you're going to get quality sperm that actually got someone pregnant. So we went through California Cryo, and they were great. They had actually extended testing, and if you wanted to get family history on cancer or anything, they allowed you to pay extra to get that. Our donor actually was so great that, when we wanted to have another child, using my wife as the uterus, basically, they wanted to test for von Willebrand's disease because she has that. It's a trouble clotting. And he was out of the process at this point, and they reached out to him, and he came in and did testing for her. So I was like, wow, this is really good quality people here. I mean, I feel like it was a good thing, and he did not have it. But anyways, I remember the sperm is over $1,000. It was $1,250. And this was 9 years ago when we started this process. Our daughter's 7 now, but so 9 years ago, and you have to buy more than one vial because after they thaw it, they test how the motility is, how they move around. And if they don't move around good, then they can't use that. And then you can get a refund, or they give you another vial, but they don't know what the motility is going to be until they thaw it out. So it's a big process. And then the storage, which by the way, we're still paying for storage. Arabella's 7. I don't think we're having another one. And I'm pretty sure we have 4 vials of sperm from the same donor.
It probably feels weird to get rid of it.
I mean,
right?
I feel it could be another child,
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't throw it away. And I'm should I just turkey baste it one day? I don't know. Am I
oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've literally talked about this with Kim, and she's like, no, I don't think so. But in my mind, I'm well, I mean, what if I brought it home? I don't know,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel it's hard to get rid of.
I could totally see that. Yeah.
How was your
Yeah. So
experience?
with Addie, my oldest, we tried for a long time, and I didn't know. I just sort of thought it'll take a month or two. That was untrue. really untrue. So we tried for a long time. This is actually what began my like spiritual journey. Because after a while I was like, oh, like should like I kind of explored like different options. So I tried acupuncture, which I'd never done before, and it worked. I got pregnant that next month after I started the acupuncture.
Really works, yeah.
And then I also just like really loved acupuncture after that, and used it a lot. And then Bex was a really fun night at a concert.
Oh, that's great. See,
so
it
very
sort of happened just like, yeah. I do feel like there was so much pressure on it. Like, you know, like I remember like doing so many pregnancy tests, and like with the IUI, there was like an 8% chance of getting pregnant. Like that was it.
It's low.
And it's very low. And it's like you're tracking your ovulation until you get that smiley and it's like solid and you're like, yeah. And like the next day you go in and like they stick you in a chair and they tip you upside down, literally. Like your like head is like on the ground almost, like, but you're in like it's like a dentist chair basically. And your feet are in the air, and then they literally put this like scope thing in you and they inject it in there, and then they give you a picture of it being injected. Like it's like the flash of light.
Don't need
I'm
that.
like, oh, this is great. Like I don't know what this
What do
is,
you do
but
with that?
yeah, I mean, I did keep it because I was like, maybe it's the baby, but like, you know,
That's fair.
and then I ended up having to do like an egg retrieval. So like I got pregnant with IVF in the end. So it was my first egg retrieval. They got like, I don't know how many eggs, but they made 4 embryos. Like out of all of the eggs, they fertilize them with the sperm and your egg, and then they decide like if it's viable or not. And then they freeze them. Or like, so you can either do a fresh transfer, which if anyone is ever doing this out there, I would say put one in at a time, because that actually is it's actually more likely to get you pregnant than putting all of them in at once.
Interesting.
So I put in 3 because I was like, oh, I can deal with 3 babies. It'll be one and done, you know? But it was actually not what happened. I didn't get pregnant with that 3, but then I only had 1 embryo left. And then that embryo, because it lasted to day 5, they freeze it, and then they use it for a next cycle. So I waited 2 months, and then that was Arabella. And it was so funny because when I took my pregnancy test, it was like, that was another thing. All of the hormone patches. Did I ever tell you the story about what happened the morning of my egg transfer?
I don't think
the embryo transfer. So basically like your thing tells you like, okay, you're ovulating within 24 hours and you have to go like the next day. I'm like, okay, great. We're ready. It was my mom's birthday. Okay. So that's the conception date. I had about, I don't know, 12 estrogen patches on me at that time. Like I was a roaring lunatic. Wow. Okay. Like so much, like the gonal pens, like all the hormones. I was a psycho. So we were like getting ready to go. We lived in Winthrop at the time, and Kim was like taking too long. I was out in the car honking the horn, like, wee, wee, wee. Like, what are you doing? Like, wee, wee, wee. She was taking so long that I left without her and went to the hospital. And our neighbor, May, who was our nurse, literally, she lived 2 doors down from me. So when I got to the fertility clinic at MGH, I was like, here I am. And she's like, where Kim? And I'm like, Kim's at home because she took too long. And she's like, what? So she called Kim on the phone, was like, Kim, you get here now. Like literally it was like, get here now. And so Kim basically was like, she left me and she's like, you need to get here now. So get in the car and come. So she comes, gets in the car. By the time she's there, I was like, don't you think this time will be the time I get pregnant? Because she was bad luck. Like, that's how crazy I was. And literally, like, by the time she got there, I was in recovery. I was like, I bet you now I'll get pregnant because you weren't here. And she was just like, right. I was so mad and so angry and fired up. I was like, there's no way I'm going to have a baby with us. So we were not speaking at this point because, like, we didn't speak the whole week. Like, nothing, like, we were so angry at each other, and I was still like hyped up on hormones. And after that, you have to do the progesterone shots. So I was on more hormones. I was like a lunatic. And then I literally, like, I thought it was 7 days after, but it ended up being, or 10 days after, but it ended up only being 7 days after. So they were like, don't take a pregnancy test until like, I don't know, 12 or 13 days. But I waited 7 days and took a test. And I was like in the bathroom, and my dog Lima Bean was there, and I used to call her Boogie. And I was like, and I looked at it and I was like, no, I'm seeing something. Cause like you've taken so many, you actually think you see the lines when they're not there. And then I was like, oh my God, like, no, there really is a line there. And I was like, Boogie, I think we're pregnant. And then I hear Kim outside the bathroom door. What? I'm like, nothing. And then like, literally I walked outside the door and I was like,
letting it go.
I was like, I think I'm pregnant. And I gave her the thing. And then she was like, oh my God, you are. Oh my God, I can't believe it. And then we like hugged each other and it was like fine and like cried and like, it was so cool. And then like, it was so funny because that Friday I went back for an appointment because I told them I took the pregnancy test and they tested my level and my level was like off the chain. And they were like, you might be having multiples. And I was like, oh my God, what? And they were like maybe more than 2. I was like, what? Like it was one embryo. And they were like, yeah, but you know that they can split and everything. And I was like, okay. And then like 2 days later I went back and it had like tripled and they were like, yeah, we don't know how many's in there. And I was like, what? And then like afterwards, like I think they made me wait like another 2 days, went back and then they tested it and they were like, well, we'll just wait for the heartbeats. And I was like, what? Like I was just like, so like, oh my God, I'm going to have 5 babies. Like, I don't know, I'm going to be like Octomom or something. And then I went in there and like, it ended up being one very healthy, strong baby, which is Arabella. So it was like a crazy time.
That's a lot, like to go through.
Lot, yeah. Yeah. And those hormones make you crazy.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
I feel like too, I don't know if you felt this way, like when you were going through it where you're like, I really wish I knew more about how my body worked. Like,
yeah.
I feel like you don't know a lot.
Yeah, no.
Like, or like,
I mean, I died when I was giving birth. I think
I
told you that when I was, I was like, and you know, I know you say that your body's meant for it. So tell everyone about the hypnobirth.
So no, I had a first birth that was, I had an epidural, but I had a really bad reaction to the epidural. And this
I'm pretty sure everyone does.
Well, so this one was odd. So, you know, do you get like cold headaches? Like if you eat a popsicle?
Yeah.
Or ice cream?
Like an ice cream headache.
So I don't get cold headaches. I get shooting back pain, which is bizarre.
Okay.
So when I was coming off the epidural, I had like the most like epically horrible back pain. And they couldn't figure it out. Like they didn't know what was happening. Like I couldn't hold the baby after I'd had emergency surgery. So like super traumatic, like terrible. So that I was like, oh, I'm going to explore like different ways.
Natural
like
option.
Different, yeah. Like maybe it doesn't have to go like this. So I found hypnobirthing. There was this local woman. She was amazing. We went to her house in like her basement with other families.
Mm-hmm.
And we we learned about like the natural, like ways that you can have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And we use like a lot of breath patterns, which it was like my first breath work experience without calling it that at the time. And so, so I did deliver Bex using hypnobirthing the second time. And it was like a vastly different experience. And I think everyone has a different
like
experience.
Hypnotized, like it was don't like, feel pain or no?
No, you absolutely feel pain, but the way you approach it is different. And like, I just had a better understanding of like the different cycles that your body goes through. Like when you're having a baby, like also you're not supposed to lie down, like really like basic things. Know, like I like was mostly standing for the, like the whole entire labor. Or like using a ball, and just using like different, like,
you know, my friend Katie, I told you about, she was very pregnant. I did her hair a couple of weeks ago. So she basically had planned on having a water birth and like they bring this big pool, blow up pool.
It's amazing.
And I was going to take her daughter and everything. Well, you know, myself or my cousin. And, cause like, you know, she can't have a baby with her other little baby there. So like
some people do it. It's just,
I don't know if that's a good idea when she's writhing in pain, but like literally I was like, okay. So she was like very anti-hospital cause she also had a bad experience. So I was very open to it. And then now she has a scheduled C-section because the baby's too big. But she was very into, she wanted to do it she has a doula and a midwife and like all these, and I feel like they're very qualified people. And like, she's very like, she's done so much research on it and like, maybe it is better for them. But like for me, like I was like, I got to the hospital, you know, I was like, when can I have epidural? They were like, well, we have to get you checked in. And I was like, when can I get epidural? They were like, I don't know. Like, I was like, I don't want to feel any pain. Cause like, I just got kicked in the stomach. It felt like, so I don't want to feel that again. And they were like, well, and I was like, like having a contraction. Like I was like, there's no way I'm going to feel that for hours on end. It's not happening.
No.
And then they gave it to me and I died basically. I died. I remember telling my nurse, I was like, Esther, I don't feel so good. And she was like, I know, honey, they're going to get someone in here. Your blood pressure's dropping. And I'm like, and I looked over again. I said, Esther. And she goes, yeah. I go, I think I'm dying. And then I literally floated above my body. I looked down below. I saw cause they gave me the epidural. Like, you know, it's a training hospital. So they had like the guy who was like a training,
the resident or whatever.
Yeah. What do they call it? Anesthesiologist.
Yep.
And he did it. He did a great job, but there was like blood all over the back of my gurney.
Oh God.
Gurney? No, Johnny, not gurney, Johnny. And I was like, why is there blood? I remember thinking like, oh, there's blood in the back of my Johnny. Like, okay. And then I remember floating and then I saw all these people come in and then they told my body, you're going to feel much better after this. And then they shot my leg because I felt it in my leg with something.
Like
And then I woke up and I was like, oh, and I saw my grandparents before that. Like, I didn't talk about that, but down the hallway, like in like the glowing light,
So
I was like,
cool.
yeah,
I mean, it's
not
scary.
really. But
Super
if you were to
scary.
tell me I was going to die and leave my newborn baby there with my wife, I would have had so much anxiety, but I had none of that floating about my body. But then like they told my wife, oh, they didn't even tell her what happened. They were like, oh, we had a little incident. Her blood pressure dropped, you know, a little low. And then she was like, how low? And they were like 40 over 25. And she's like, oh, that was really low. And they're like, yep. So we're going to give her a little medicine in her epidural every half hour to keep her blood pressure up. And they were like, she's like, yeah, she has really low blood pressure. And they were like, yeah, we knew that, but we didn't actually know the extent of it. So
how low it is.
Yeah. So that was that. So, and the epidural did work, I guess, for contractions. Like I could see them on the screen, but I didn't really feel pain. And I ate like, no joke, like I started pushing around 4 o'clock and had her at 9:25. And I remember like, I wouldn't have got through it. Like I lined up the Italian, cause you can't eat anything, but you can drink and have Italian ice. I made them line up the Italian ices on the windowsill so they would melt.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. I had like 40 of them.
Yeah.
By the time I gave birth.
Oh my God.
My wife was like, I had no idea you could eat 40 Italian ices. I'm like, what? I was like, you counted? She's like, well, after like 20, I was like, I think I should count this. This is kind of like obscene. Yeah. 40 Italian ices.
Maybe we should have just let her have.
And I feel like they helped me through my pushing and everything. And then after I pushed her out, like I basically like I had like another issue because like, you know, you have to give birth to the placenta.
Yeah.
And mine was stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So then when they pushed on my stomach, I hemorrhaged. And I remember my mom who's so helpful and lovely. All of a sudden they're going to my mom because she's with her head between her legs about to faint. And I'm like, I'm having placenta over here. I'm having like my placenta. Hello, where did everyone go? Because she's fainting over in the corner. And I'm like, always to make it about her, right? I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. And then like literally they had to give me something and then I started shaking. You know, no one talks about that. The shaking is so after. Common. I was like, you know, when you're like super freezing cold, like I was like, I couldn't even like hold myself together and then like hold the baby and I'm like, you know, and I was like shaking like a crazy person.
There's so many things that happen.
I could not stop shaking, like shivering. I was freezing cold. It was terrible and it wouldn't go away. And, you know, I had to have them take the baby. Kim was holding the baby. I couldn't even hold her. It was terrible. And then like after an hour or two, I want to say it like calmed down. And then I was able to hold her and, you know, then they, you know, whisked me up to recovery upstairs or downstairs or I don't know where it was. I was in a wheelchair and holding the baby and very happy at that point. But it was crazy.
It's so much that happens. And I guess like, yeah, like I had similar experience and I just like have to wonder like we're literally created to be able to have babies. And it just like is so not empowering to people.
Right.
Right. I think there's just ways that like it could be so much more empowering. Like the mom should feel like the most empowered ever.
Yeah.
Like you literally created a human and you're birthing a human into the world.
Right.
That is the coolest experience possible.
It wasn't that cool
in the world. I know, but I just think like, I don't know. I think there's people doing really cool work to like help people maybe like to feel more empowered, like understand what's happening more, understand there's alternatives. Like it's just been so medicalized. Your body was made for this. Like your body's made for it. And it's been so medicalized and like, which is some people, you need it. Some people totally need it. Like there's like, totally. But I think it's just like the standard of care has become so focused on like worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
And sometimes does it actually create it? Yeah.
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 It could, right? I mean, my cousin Emily, she also had they gave her Pitocin, induced her, and she was in labor for like 4 days. It was the worst experience ever for her. It was terrible.
I know. I feel like we could talk about.
She was so happy to have Connor. You know, he was the most beautiful baby, but she went through a lot to get him there.
Yeah. There's so many stories and we would love to hear yours. So share this with another mom who has had any kind of birth experience and we would really love to hear yours. So comment on our Instagram or
let us know
about your experience.
And we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thanks for joining us today. We know your time is valuable and probably interrupted, so we're grateful to be a part of your chaos.
Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next episode.
Leave us a review if you loved it. Or even if you didn't. We can take it. We've survived toddler tantrums.
Barely.